Hi everyone, my name is Hannah. Welcome to the Q&A Monday, and today we are talking about the cutting edge, how cloud technology changed the way accounting services are delivered. So perhaps for most of us, we might been through a sort of technology change. Over the last couple of years, it's actually a lot of changes in accounting world or in the whole technology world. So at the moment, I remember in early 2014, I fired my boss and started my own business. When I left the old firm, I just realized a whole new world has opened up for me. So I discovered an accounting system called Xero, which is cloud-based. We don't have to install them on the PC or on the laptop, and you just simply have a login, and you can look at your financial information. And of course, it's all cloud-based. It's easier to sync with your bank statements. You have the direct bank feeds, and also now we have the entry list system. So all these things has replaced a lot of labor-intensive work. I still remember like when I was working for my old firm, they are perhaps more of a conventional type of accountancy firm. So what they did most of the time is like spreadsheets. I was used to a lot of spreadsheets. For a few of the clients, like slightly bigger clients, they do have things like Sage. But again, it's kind of a system that was a desktop system. You have to install it on your PC. And in the past, that system can be quite expensive as well. But now the cloud accounting like Xero, it only costs about £20 per month. There are also some other kind of options out there. They have different pricing and slightly different feature. But for me, it's really a personal choice in terms of which one you go for. But for me, of course, Xero is my most preferred one. So, and of course, later I will talk more about different system and how you can go about choose them and what you need to look out for. Okay, so in terms of what changed, first of all, when we see the paperwork, perhaps in the past, if some of you had impression of an accountancy firm, perhaps 5 or 10 years ago, it tend to be a lot of paperwork. Lots of boxes, lots of folders, they're on the shelf. It's been, because we all have to keep them for 6 years. So it creates a lot of paperwork. But now we do have things like Receipt Bank. Basically, it allows us to just take a picture from the app in our smartphone and it just go to the system. We can even export Excel from there. But we don't have to manually enter the dates, the category, the amount. The system does it for you. They just extract the information and then it's saved as a draft, and then you can approve it and you can download that spreadsheet. And also it talks to your accounting system. So that is very handy. And of course, you don't really have to keep the paper receipts because the picture is stored in the cloud. And the digital version of the receipts are also accepted. When we think about, we have to keep the paperwork for 6 years. After 6 years, when we see the paper receipts, it might be folded, it might be someone putting the coffee on it, or even be destroyed. But on the in the digital form, it's always there. You can always see it clearly. And of course, the other thing is for the sort of normal TO receipts, some study was showing it's actually not good for health if you keep them for too long. They have a certain kind of chemical on the receipts, on the ink of the receipts. So as we say, cloud technologies, things like Receipt Bank, that not just save your time, make your life easier, but also benefit your health. Okay, so that's paperwork wise. And of course, on the cloud system, you can always store your information on the cloud. Of course, when we are digitally storing the information, something about cyber security or anything like data protection, we need to be careful about it. But in general, like accounting system themselves, they do have they do require a certain level of security. So things like Xero, they are definitely secure. So like most of the cloud accounting system, they are secure in terms of data. Okay, so nowadays, if I were looking at my office, of course, there are still some clients, they prefer sending the paperwork, like paper statement, paper receipts, but very, very, very few. We don't even need big boxes or big shelf. Now we only have a couple of storage, like very small in the office. And it just, if some clients, they do send us paperwork, we just store them temporarily. We scan everything in the cloud. Still, everything, even if we've been sent the paper version, they are still processed by the cloud. So in the end, we can just return the paperwork back to the client, and we don't have to. Of course, now the other thing for us to make our life easier or make it more cost effective is we don't have to hire the big space. We can just hire the very some sort of a open office, and then still we can get the job done, and the client don't care. Okay, so that's a paperwork. I think that's like lots of people are overwhelmed about the paperwork, but one of the benefits of using technology is you can simply just process everything through the cloud. The technology can take care of almost everything for you. Okay, and the second thing, we're talking about the systems. When you are starting a business, when you become self-employed, what system do you use? When you start, when you become self-employed or start running a company, you have to take care of your own tax. You have to self-assess your accounts and your tax bill. So that means you have to keep the records properly, to keep track on how much profit you made, keep track on your expenses, so you can run your business properly. And then lots of people think, what sort of a system do I use? I think now most of the people, we do have laptops, and it's very easy to pull out the spreadsheets and total all the income and total all the receipts that outcoming or categorize them. It's very easy to do. Of course, Excel it's cheap and it's very easy to do, and it's simple for most of people, straightforward. But the downside is when we need to pull out the reports. Of course, it can be quite time consuming as well, because you have to key in all the words, all the dates in the spreadsheet. The downside is the spreadsheet, you can add it, anyone can add it, like the numbers. If you say 6,000, and then the other time someone added like £4,000, then that's gonna make a big difference, and it can be hard to track as well. But cloud technology, you can view what has been changed. They can track the who has added it and what has been changed. If anything goes wrong, then we are clear what's going on. If that's just a simple mistake, we can always find out the root cause and then correct it. Okay, and so the downside of spreadsheet is it's very easy to be changed, and also, of course, it's very time consuming as well. And if you want to put out the proper reports, it's also difficult unless you're very familiar with the proper, like how to put together balance sheets. Profit and loss is quite straightforward, but balance sheet is not always easy. So unless you're very good at putting out pull from scratch and put together balance sheets, then perhaps you can try it. But nowadays, cloud technology, they can take care of all these things for you, and then I don't think you do have to spend the time to get your head around it. Okay, so if we are not going to choose spreadsheets, what are we going to do? There are several different options, things like Xero, QuickBooks Online, cash flow. I think the option, of course, for personal choice, I always prefer Xero, because it has a lot of integration. You can even integrate to your CRM system. Then you can feed in like the client's data. You don't have to double enter them. And there are a lot of things you can just synchronize with each other. So that is very easy to use. QuickBook is also fine. But if you personally prefer that, I would say QuickBook. It just in my opinion, I think Xero is, in comparison to Xero is more intuitive to use. But of course, that's totally a personal choice. In terms of, there are also a couple other perhaps smaller different companies out there providing the solution, but I would always suggest go for the ones that are bigger, that are popular and more recommendation, because smaller ones might end up being merged by the big ones, and you probably end up have to go for the big ones anyway. So go for the popular and bigger providers. If I were to choose a system, because changing the system can also be time consuming as well. And also when people say when it is worth to have a proper system like Xero or QuickBooks in comparison to using spreadsheets. Of course, as a spreadsheet is very straightforward to most people. But then, if you really want to keep on track of your businesses, I would advise set yourself on the proper accounting system as soon as possible, especially if you do have an ambition for a business to grow. You do have to take it seriously from day one. So that is very important for you. When transaction is not too many, you can just take the time to get familiar with it. But when the transaction is, you get more of it, then you can outsource. But again, you do have the knowledge, you do have the awareness to know what's going on. So I always suggest if you are really serious about your business, if you do have an ambition on your business to grow bigger, then have the proper system from day one. And also there are people perhaps previously on desktop system like Sage or other system, and they want to transition. Actually, they are a very simple solution out there as well. I remember a couple of months ago, I just helped a dental practice. They are using Sage desktop, which is a quite old version of Sage. And so it was quite time consuming to key in all the data. But then what we did was we used a third party system is called Move My Books. And we use that, we take the Sage backup and use that and then transition to Xero. So, and then in the end, it's matched, everything matched perfectly. So that was really good. And we don't have to have stress out too much. And then in the end, of course, we need to double check on everything, get more reassurance. But everything, I would say that experience, everything has matched perfectly. So if you are thinking about moving your system from a desktop to Xero or to any cloud-based system, then you can speak to me as well. Then I can just point out the solution for you that you don't have to hassle too much. Okay, so that is about the system. And the next thing that is really about the delivery of, I think in the past when you use accountancy service, because most of the number crunching thing, it used to be very time consuming, very labor intensive, and the old way of doing that, they perhaps just charge by hour, just X amount of hours doing the number crunching, that is your bill. And it's almost mostly just doing compliance, just to make sure everything is submitted on time. And also I think now, after year end, we always have 9 months time to prepare our annual accounts, prepare our tax return. I think there might be a reason behind. Imagine if we were using the manual based system, it will take a very long time. But now, as long as the bank statement is synchronized with your accounting system, and most of things are automated, all you need to do or your accountant will do, that will just tweak the system tweak the figures or finalize, do some adjustments, and then that will be almost done. And currently Xero, if you are using doing the bookkeeping on Xero, you can submit your VAT return straight from Xero as well. So that is actually very handy, just a press a button. And of course, when you want to extract a piece of information like a report, then that is also easy to use. Nowadays, Xero are doing quite fascinating developments. They allow us to customize our report, just to show the numbers that really matter to the businesses, or can customize accordingly to the business, and we just show that, or even allow us to build a formula and to show the gross profit margin and to show the numbers, like the sort of percentages that matter to the business owners. So all this reporting, lot of labor-intensive thing, they have to be replaced. But what's the main job for the accountants? Most of the thing that accountants previously doing has been replaced by technology. So I would say because of the cloud technology, it does not mean that they will make all the accountants become redundant, but it just really it's time for the profession to change the way they deliver service. Instead of just focusing on getting the numbers right, getting the accounts submitted on time. I mean, these are still important. But then there are a lot of more value out there we can think of offering. There are a lot of advisory things like, how you can tailor the tax strategies to help an individual to save the tax bill, or even how your particular business, how you can make your vacation to LA tax deductible. By the way, I know in America, Vegas, lots of people had around Vegas today. So it was very, very shocking. But I hope people, the friends out there, they will be okay. Okay, so back to the content. So yes. When we're talking about the delivery, yes, there are like things like tailoring the strategy. These still cannot really replaced by the technology. And the other important thing that cannot be replaced by technology, that is a human touch. And that is a relationship or the report with the clients. So that part, technology cannot change. If accountants are expected to operate like machines, then that's nothing different with operating with the technology, and hence technology saves a lot of time. But the human touch, the empathy, and the caring aspect, it can never be replaced by technology. So that is why now the kind of profession, the reform of the profession is really moving into that way, into more of a caring about the client situation, and they can tailor the strategy to the client, help them to reduce the tax bill, or just enjoy their money. Okay, so yes, with the technology, there are a lot of changes for us as accountants, and also they are with the technology, what people expect from the profession, it will change as well. I think what will really add value is really help people to get the guidance, to know more about the guidance, get the clarity, and on one side they know the knowledge, they have the sufficient knowledge that they know what's going on. On the other side, it really allow them to make the most of the accountancy services, because they are aware of what they are outsourced for. It's like when you are more health conscious, even if you are sick, you go to the health professional and you know what they are doing, or you know when and how you need to get the most out of the health professionals' experts' knowledge. Okay, so and I think that's really, I cover three aspects about the technology, how technology really enhanced our life and also change the way accountancy service are delivered. First of all, it's reducing the amount of paperwork, which means reducing overwhelmingness. And the second thing is really now the system, the different system, they are integrated, and also it makes us life easier, like automation, everything automated, and it's really save a lot of time, replace a lot of labor intensive work. And thirdly, because it replaced a lot of labor-intensive work, it also perhaps change the way accountants should deliver their service, and also change what the business owner will expect from their accountants. So, of course, overall, there are certain things cannot be replaced by technology, and I think these are the things like human touch, like all our authenticity. They can never be replaced. So these become more valuable to keep for across all professions. Okay, so I hope you find this one useful. Just so you know, later on today I'll go for another live because at the moment I am also launching my new advisory program that is called Falling in Love with Tax. So that is advisory only program. With a change, all these changes, I think that is one of the things I feel right to do. Later I will talk more about how I find my boss and why I came up with that program, and we'll talk more about that. And of course, if you would like to know more about things about tax or money, and I also do run exclusive Q&A in my private Facebook group. I already put a link in the description. So if you want to pop in and pick my brain on weekly basis, you're more than welcome to request to join the group. And I will go live then just for the group to answer your questions. Okay, so again, I hope you find this one useful. Have a wonderful evening, and I shall see you very soon. Bye now.